right, here we are. It is January 24th, another Friday, another thrill-packed Friday with Post and Walters. I'm here. I'm Greg. Art's there. He's there. We've got Kevin and John coming in. It's cold as a. It's cold. It's cold. So when we look back on it, snowed from frickin' Georgia all the way into Texas and Florida. What was it? Sarasota? 10 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Pensacola on the beach. So you got palm trees with snow on it, and then you got a beach that's not white sand, that's snow. So I guess that's the end of global warming, but we won't start there, will we?
The only one who's in good shape is Kevin, right?
Yeah, I'm in good shape. I got my t-shirt on and shorts. It's about mid-60s out here, so I won't rub it in. We'll just.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I forgot, Kevin. Where are you at?
We're in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Ooh, well, you get your cool out there is a wet cool.
It's a different kind. Yeah, my she's from Ohio and she's never adjusted for 30 years, so it's always San Francisco breeze always gets us in San Jose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, well, it's in the 60s down here now, so it's about time. But it was 81 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now it's nice. No, but anyway. What's going on in the world today? Art, what's going on in copiers? Because
same old shit
what's going on and everything else
right now. Same old shit, different day.
Oh my God.
It is. It's picked up since we've passed the New Year's.
Okay, cool.
And I just found myself the full week just working on more proposals than usual, which is good. Yeah. And luckily, I was in my home office all week and didn't have to get out into that cold. But I have to go on site next week for about 4 appointments. So, as far as business wise, January wasn't a good month for me because I had one kick butt December and end of year. But now it's time to go back to the basics again and start all over.
Yep, that's the way of the world. Gotta love it. I saw a few more postings for jobs. I'm not going to mention any dealerships per se, but names we would all recognize, right?
Yep.
And some that were smaller. But again, like I mentioned last week, it's the first time I can remember in a long time seeing things like that on LinkedIn or anywhere else. Even hearing anyone talk about trying to hire some. Everyone's always complaining that you can't find good people to hire. I understand that. But I've seen more and more. And I've actually talked to someone earlier this week, tutoring her in how should I say it? Redo her resume is probably the best way to put it.
Right.
She is a great study in how people are trying to find jobs nowadays and how much that process has changed. I mean, on both sides, on how people are hiring, if they're hiring from the enterprise down to the SMB. So it's been a fascinating study.
Well, thank goodness I don't have to do it. I don't think I'd make it. I don't think I'd make the cut.
Well, you don't want me to tell you? I'll tell you about it. That it's illegal, but they ain't hiring older guys.
No.
Yeah. All right. They ain't hiring guys who can make over 100 or even higher, right? They want the young kids, the kidlings, the little, 50 grand or less, which I can't believe. Sales reps. Again, they're brand new, so that I get it.
Mold, all about molding.
That's the thing that this person is not the only one, but everyone's experiencing. If you've got too much experience, they don't want to shell out that much money for you. And who can blame them? Because you can pick up a newbie pretty cheap, at least nowadays. So,
yeah, newbies aren't always what they're cut out to be.
No, they're never what they're cut out to be. They are after they become not being a newbie anymore.
Yeah.
So, what else? I mean, AI, there's huge things going on, but we don't need to get into that just yet. Let's see. I saw now Lexmark, no. Epson, same old. Yeah, I don't think that much happened in the hardware world this week, unless you heard something, because I didn't.
Yeah, I'm just going through some of the notes.
No. But anyway.
Awards. I guess it was award week for the manufacturers. Um, other than that,
Can we talk about
not
awards?
much.
That's
An
what I'm
award?
talking about. Did you get one yet this year, Art? Did you get
Uh,
recognized as being influential or otherwise?
No, not yet.
Neither did I.
Probably
He's-
sometime. Probably
Yeah,
sometime this year.
You're always a winner in my heart.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
So, Kevin, anything new with you,
Well,
technology
Greg,
wise?
Greg didn't want to go to the AI yet, but
No.
we do need to talk Stargate, so we can
Oh yeah.
save that because we can go on forever and ever and ever. But related to that, energy is on top of mind for me.
Okay.
So it's AI related, but it's not technology. It's it affects us all, whether we're in technology or not. And building these gigantic data centers, there's no doubt about it. We've got to do something different. So I want people to really consider this. Don't just don't say, okay, we need to make another data center because they said this one that Oracle's making is like football fields, right? That's one of them,
Humongous. It's
right?
humongous.
And then I mean, just we can't keep, and they're going to have their own power supplies, right? It's crazy. So, and then there's a lot of talk about bringing nuclear back online and stuff like that. So, what can we do as vendors is be more efficient, right? If there's going to be this huge desire for AI and using AI, then how can we make it better, right? So, it kind of goes to, can we put technologies on chips and use processors more efficiently and use GPUs more efficiently and use the bandwidth more efficiently? So AI is coming. You're not going to stop it, right? So how do we use it better, right? Like we're creating operating systems got so bloated, and they're so bloated, they're giant size,
Oh
they're
my God.
inefficient. So just running a PC, you need like a lot of CPU power, a lot of storage, a lot of memory. So if we keep doing that with the cloud, then we're just going to keep building data centers for the rest of our lives. And we'll all be dead, and we'll still be building data centers and taking all the energy and the water. So efficiency. So I'm kind of on my soapbox, but it's very important, and we have to as an industry all come together. Hardware, software. The software vendors have to make their stuff where it can be used efficiently. Use the 64-bit instead of 32-bit. That's one example of being more efficient. The API protocol can be more efficient. The use of memory and storage and CPU can be more efficient. So the software needs to cooperate, and then the hardware platforms, the CPUs need to be both programmable easily, right? So it's a big thing. We've been looking at this stuff and how we help. If there's a vendor that has a technology, we say, we understand how to program the chip, for example. So we could put your technology on a chip. Would you be interested? We could just say, okay, we've got another person on board to shrink down the file size, and you don't have to transmit so much. So there is practical ways, even though I'm not a programmer to that level, but we need to really, it needs to be a priority, is what I'm saying, right? We just can't say, okay, we want to build an application, and OpenAI is like going crazy and a lot of revenue, but you look at their revenue versus expense, and there's a big disconnect, huge disconnect. Anyways, that would be my kind of lecture for the day.
I love it. It's not a lecture. That's okay. 3 Mile Island with Microsoft, that got put on delay because of permitting. Go figure. The new Stargate out in Texas is going to be just directly east or northeast or northwest of Albertine in Texas. I saw the location of it today, and it's an add-on to construction that's already underway. So I didn't know that either.
Okay.
And it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's in Texas. So I'm wondering what the energy source is going to be. If they say they're going to get their own energy, it might be pulling oil out of the ground. Who knows? I don't know. But it's on both sides. You're right. So you've got the technology and the hardware, or not, you've got the hardware over there, but then you've got the software. Okay. And I love what you said about the 6432, right? Intel, remember those guys?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're gone, right? I called it that whole, and Microsoft is there too. They're the DOS world. They're, software efficiency. When you had 640K to work with, and not even that in memory, your programming was extremely efficient,
That's right.
right? Because you're putting in 8 bits and it, you can't, and then the machines got faster and the capacity got bigger and the programmers went absolutely apeshit, just bloated, like everything. You've seen it from the drivers to Microsoft Word, Excel, all that crap. Sure, memory's cheap, energy's cheap, cycles are fast now. Just keep on stuffing. I think you're right, though, that it's going to come back to more efficient programming and actually using 64-bit, 128-bit, et cetera, et cetera. But I've been watching, I think it's ARM. Who does the ARM chips out of San Diego? I forget who that is. But
Qualcomm.
yeah. So they do ARM. And then you've got NVIDIA. NVIDIA's talking about energy too, because not only does, this, it doesn't, we're not just consuming energy, but the heat makes the processing and all that more inefficient. And then you've got to cool it. That's where all that water is coming from and stuff. So they're very interested in it. And it's low power consumption too. So you're starting to see that idea mesh together. I haven't heard anything from NVIDIA on that per se, but it's very interesting that you say what you say, because that's one of the reasons Intel has been kicked in the shins and is probably out for the gig, because their systems were all built on Windows and DOS. And you see it same with Dell and HP. They're still talking about old school, all the AI compliant machines that are out now. They're really not AI compliant like they're going to be. They're like a step above DOS maybe, and probably more marketing. Anyway, fascinating, and you're absolutely right. The energy thing is a big issue, but I also think that as AI, like NVIDIA had AI design their second fob, whatever. I know I'm talking out of my whatever. They did a digital twin manufacturing plant well before construction, and part of it was energy consumption and stuff like that. So AI solved a bunch of problems. So I'm thinking energy is an issue, but we'll be able to throw AI at it to figure out how to solve that issue. I don't know what that means.
So isn't a whole issue with AI is it's going to take a whole hell of a lot more energy for artificial intelligence?
Yeah, because it needs a lot of processing power right now, and this is all right now. So yeah, when you hear Colossus out in Tennessee, right, Musk's thing, that thing is huge, and I think it's got 100,000 GPUs right now, and by the end of the year he wants 1 million. So that's a lot, and that's a lot of energy, right? So that's why 3 Mile Island or a nuke plant makes sense, other than other stuff.
How about the mini nukes? Toshiba makes mini.
Yeah, the mini nukes would be interesting. The component
reactors, or we just take a decommissioned aircraft carrier and put them over there.
Isn't there one? There's one traveling around right now.
John F. Kennedy, yeah.
The JFK, the big stick.
Yeah,
that's not big stick, but that's JFK.
Maybe mini nuclear reactors is the way, or temporary.
Well, yeah, there's a salt reactor now that isn't so toxic. I haven't put that in ChatGPT yet, but maybe I will tonight. Figure out how to go build a nuclear reactor.
You may get some phone calls.
Yeah. Well, who knows? And I tell you what, I was surprised as hell to see the Oracle of Oracle and what's his name and
Masi-san
guys. Yeah, come out. Well, because
Sam Altman.
I didn't hear anything about it at all.
It's an interesting collaboration for sure.
Yeah, for those that don't know, it's the Oracle of Oracle, the guy who owns OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Sam Altman.
Sam, and then the other gentleman is
Masi-san with SoftBank, and then Larry Ellison from Oracle.
Larry Ellison. SoftBank is known for, was it WeWork?
Yeah, they failed. They invested a lot of money and it didn't work out. We worked terrible. Yeah, they made a big investment. They got taken for a ride on that one.
That's right. People went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the WeWork? I'm thinking. Regardless, so they're in there, and I was really surprised to see that.
But it's interesting, those three companies. That was the announcement, right? Mm-hmm. But then you read the next day that Microsoft and NVIDIA are really going to benefit a lot because they're using a lot of NVIDIA technology, and I don't know if they're using Microsoft technology or is it Microsoft's investment.
No, but isn't Microsoft one of the biggest investors in OpenAI?
Yeah, that's the thing. The money goes from Microsoft to OpenAI to this project, and then its projects so like all the all the competitors and the cooperation amongst them is very interesting, right? And
It's really interesting. I mean, it is, we're at that point right now. A rising tide actually does raise all.
yes, that's right. Because that proves even one vendor, Oracle, Microsoft, NVIDIA, not one vendor can provide all the solution, right?
Right.
So it just shows that the cooperation needs to happen. Even if you're big arch rivals, Oracle and Microsoft, right? They're now working nicely together, doing something that hopefully can help humanity. I don't know, right? So
Well, you mentioned earlier that the actual revenue ROI isn't there.
no.
It isn't yet. I keep saying yet, but there is the fact that these people, for some reason, and I don't know the bottom of it, this has got to be done. And if we have to put 500 million or $1 trillion in it, and we're not going to get an ROI in 14, 38, 36 months, somewhere, somebody thinks this has got to be done. And it's almost like going to the moon, right? Get a bunch of people who know certain things, make them all work together. It's almost like a war, right? Because there's something bigger out there that we need to all work together to get to. But I don't know what that is.
It's
don't know.
national security for sure, right? You got to run it. So that's one concern. But there's a financial component too that, it always drives these decisions, right? No matter what it. So it's not just a feel-good story too, right? So so you're right. There will be a date and time where even OpenAI, right? They're making all this money, or they're not making money, right? They're losing a lot of money, but they're getting the investment like crazy, right? So at some point, somebody's going to go to them and say, enough's enough already. And it might be at that point. I don't know, right?
Well,
So,
I think the biggest thing is that nobody knows.
yeah.
So even if you threw 500 billion into this money pit, right? Nobody knows. The upside is huge. The downside is you just lost 500 million, but everyone believes that that's not what's going to happen. But they don't know.
You're saying million. It's a billion with a B.
I remember million, billion, billion.
It's just 3 extra zeros, right?
At this point in life, no, it doesn't matter to those guys. But it is very interesting, and we're now diving, but it is and could be an indicator of a brand new business model.
Yeah.
Which
it's going to be how to monetize AI too, because if you're spending $500 billion, there's got to be somebody's got a forecast somewhere, right? How are we going to get this money back? Investment bankers don't make these decisions lightly, right?
They don't.
So how am I going to recoup that money? I got to charge this amount and sell this amount, right? This is a service, a product, whatever. It's interesting too, also, just to kind of talk on the business side, is that this agreement, from what I've read, I'm just going to put that disclaimer out there, is that this agreement allows Oracle to run basically create the models, but not offer the open open AI API. So in other words, the production level services will be offered probably through Microsoft, that Microsoft can monetize. So Oracle gets the privilege of operating the models and training the models. And then once it goes to monetize it, it's probably going to be available through Microsoft channels somehow. That's what I read between the lines, reading some public available blogs.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know exactly what Oracle, what is Oracle doing? Do they have the hardware to support the infrastructure, or is it just a DB?
So Oracle's been a laggard in cloud for infrastructure for a while. So they've had underutilized data centers for a while. They've had a lot of stuff. So might as well get in an agreement, big time agreement, and start using that untapped data center would be my guess. Plus they're building new ones, right? So
interesting. Sure is a world away from Canon, Ricoh, Kyocera, Epson, Lexmark, and Xerox.
Yeah.
It's like talking about outer space. It's that far away.
I saw a picture today. There was a show somewhere with I think it was Sharp was displaying somewhere. And I almost laughed. It says, I think I could be wrong. It may not be Sharp, but it was an OEM AI for education. It's like, really? What is the copier company doing for AI? I mean, with AI for education? Do you know, Art? I mean, is there such a thing?
I haven't heard of anything or read anything
Yeah,
yet.
it's like,
But didn't we speak a couple weeks ago about something KM was getting involved with?
yeah, I think we might have poo-pooed. I mean, everything that's come up that has AI attached to a copier company has pretty much been,
I,
you know,
I just want to see the day where the next notification I get is that the likes of Ricoh or Canon put a AI into the machines. And it may not be for end users, but maybe at least for the service models.
that'll be interesting. I mean, and we can talk about this all day. They've got the way to get it's the data, right? The data can get out of there. It's already in there.
Mhm.
Old
Right.
school.
What advantage is having AI on the device for just basically just reporting data points? What advantage you gain? Why not send that data back to, the mothership and have them process it? Then you only have, one point of,
And there goes
computation.
that big question, right? Is whose data is it? If the
Well,
data
that's-
remains on the machine, if the data is going out to somebody else, what's going along with the data? I mean, I'm no expert there, but
well, that's an issue, but it's metadata and it's just you know, usage and stuff like that. Shouldn't be any, well, I know everyone's worried that the scans are actually going to get out, but that's not what we're talking about. That could be easily taken care of. And then there's the whole issue of, who cares?
I do. Let's tie it back to your original. Let's take a scanning device, copy machine
Okay.
for AI, and talk about embedded systems and chips for, like you said, the resumes earlier, right? So
Okay.
let's just articulate a use case. Plan words. Articulate. Um, so imagine these copy machines, right? They're shared between Greg, John, Art, and Kevin. And I've been scanning some documents, and John's been scanning some documents, and I think I'm a marketing person. That's my title at my job.
Hmm.
And John's a sales guy, and he's doing his, and Art's doing his. And guess what? We're defined by the position that we've been doing at that company for a couple years. That's what we are, a marketing guy.
Okay.
But maybe that copy machine is interrogating the types of work I'm doing, right? And it's scanning in um, the documents I'm producing, and it profiles me, and it's sending the data. Yeah, collecting the image data, collecting the data from the scanned images. It's using cloud services. It's using machine learning, and it learns a pattern about me. And it says, then all of a sudden it says, like Fireflies on this. It's going to summarize our meeting. And it's going to say, Kevin, this is what you are, right? This is what based on the data, not what you think you are, or what your life experiences is. You guess what? You're a technical person. You fit in the technical world because you're talking about technology and you're talking about relevant things. So maybe a resume builder out of this, using all that data that has been collected over the machine learning about me, right? So it can do that because it has chips in there, right? And you could do things on the chips, and then you could feed it to the cloud, and then the cloud can learn, and then feed it back to the chips on the thing, and it could get smarter and smarter over time. So the device manufacturers have a lot of and also talking about optimization, the device manufacturers have a lot of memory and operating systems and GPUs, CPUs that sits there 90% of the time not being used, right?
Yeah.
Use it efficiently to crunch data, and it's interacting with a bigger cloud, yes, because it's still, kind of intended for that use. But if we think that creatively, and now the copy machine guys aren't going to be experts at education, so they'll need an education kind of ISV or somebody, that understands this, a university, this or system them and says, you know what, let's build a smart system like this. So I'm saying that if you think about it, we can make really amazing systems that we could do it today. So that kind of stuff, learning patterns, because right now we do it with scanning. You scan documents and it learns a profile, a classification profile, and it says this is an invoice, this is a business card. So we're understanding the document types, and now we can understand the content of those, and then we can make a profile of the user if we know the user because they logged on, and Greg logged on, and John logged on. You're making a profile of the user. So, just talking out loud, just something like that can be. We can make those, right? So why don't we work as an industry to start delivering those? And then it solves those problems of people, creating a resume and finding jobs. And then it matches it with the job maker. Maybe it sends it to Indeed.com and my profile is being updated in real time. I don't have to go to LinkedIn and post my stuff, right?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so take that at one step further. Everyone has their own AI. You're building a persona based on what you do. Doesn't matter where you're at. It's what you do daily. If it's cutting checks, bad example, but you know what I'm saying. HR, creating HR manuals, whatever it is. So now you've got a personal resume, personal profile that follows you everywhere. And then because you have a personal AI, it's always looking to other AIs who are looking for people that match your persona, your whatever. So they're already out there working. We'll call them, I don't know, agents.
Yeah.
We'll call them agents. And they'll work together and say, hey, listen, instead of it being like a Google alert, we've already talked to these folks. They're interested in hiring you. And I wouldn't even say hiring because I think that's going to go away. They're interested in engaging you on a 6-month project that includes XYZ for this, that, and the other thing. Are you, blah, 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 blah. So it does it all proactively. But that, we're extending. But back to your original, yeah, you could certainly capture that info.
Go patent that idea. So everybody's understanding agents, right? So create an agent that's your digital twin, right? It's updating, making outreach on your behalf. It's you, right? It's your digital you.
That's exactly, yep. It'll do the interview. I mean, the digital recruiter will interview your digital twin and see if there's a match.
So you're talking about these copy machines that would be able to read all the data that when a user logs in and they're scanning documents, and then when they logged in, they printed those types of documents too. It would analyze scanning, printing. If you logged in for copying, which hardly anybody copies anymore, right, Greg?
Right. Nobody copies.
It would build that persona of that user's workflow, right? I guess.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and it wouldn't necessarily have to get into each document, right? It'd be a document type. So, even if it's a word processing document, there's probably some AI that can glean that this is a proposal versus this is a recipe. So that you would, I'm talking about privacy and things like that. So you wouldn't need to get the content of each scan, but you would know that Jane Doe for 3 months scanned 50,000 medical records, but not the content of those records. So then you can make a discernment that she works this function of some sort in the medical industry. And that ticks off something in her persona, but they don't have to get into the actual data that's being either created or copied or digitized. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea. Now, I don't know. So it starts, though, your scenario starts at the scanner.
Yeah, I was just using that because, the audience is talking about scanning use cases.
Well, no. I think that's legitimate. I think that's good.
But I think Art's right? It's printing functionality too. But cell phone, right? This is your profile too. Everything you do on your phone.
It's the biggest. Yeah, it's like your all your cookies on your websites and all that.
Mm-hmm. You're right though, but you have to consciously say, I want to allow my digital twin, my agent, to learn about me and refine me and make outreach. So it would have to be a conscious decision. But
I'm really glad you brought that up because that delves into security. If it is a true digital twin, we won't care because it's a digital twin of me. It's already got my sensitivity and security level built in. Whatever it is, it knows I don't give a crap about this, but it knows no, don't post those pictures of me at the frat party.
Yeah, but Fireflies is copying this meeting, right? So sometimes if you just allow it to automatic, it doesn't know it's supposed to take out the preamble or the postamble, right?
It doesn't know that yet because it is a shrink wrapped off the shelf solution,
Yeah.
not my AI. But
Yeah.
it's so funny as they say shit like that, and I think, well, that's like my initial thought, that's a decade away. But now I'm thinking, no, nothing's a decade away anymore. That's crazy to me. Another thing, so shoot, I forgot his name already. Guy down in Australia is publishing stuff on managed print services now.
Mitch,
Like, I just saw a young lady from some dealership going off the 3 best ways to implement an MPS program. I'm like, what is going on? Art?
why?
Yeah, I mean, I did talk about an MPS Renaissance 2 years ago, but I thought,
You know, you've seen the press releases. MPS still has a huge card.
huge.
Yeah, especially compared to office copiers.
It's huge. It's bigger. Actually, where did you? Was that your release? Where did I get that tidbit? Because you're right. That was from probably ECS, right? That's
No, that was actually a couple of press
PTA?
releases during 2024.
Okay.
That the card on MPS is still growing and growing, and we've spoken about it a couple of times.
Now, it makes a lot of sense if you take a holistic approach to MPS. MPS, to me, not everyone, was the on-ramp to digitization. It was the ultimate way to start moving from paper to digital. That was my view. It wasn't just selling toner cheaper than, saving 30% on toner. Of course, that was a component, but that wasn't the reason. And now when I'm seeing people say that they're doing the MPS now and the rules of MPS and how to set up an MPS program, of course, it's getting deja vu from 2009. But me, wow.
Is it literally just print services, or is it services including print services?
From what I've seen, well, let me. I don't know. Let me tell you what my impressions of it is, and see if this matches. It is literally, if you're spending 80 grand on toner and supplies and service, we can do the same thing for 50 grand. All right, that's what I've seen. Now, I call that stage 1. That's stage 1 MPS. That's
very
MPS.
tactical. Yeah, not
Yeah.
strategic. Yeah.
It doesn't get into workflows. Doesn't even talk about digital transformation or going from manual to digital workflows and optimizing business process at all. But that's what happened with MPS, right? I mean, the concepts were huge, but the implementation was more tactical and easier. And you really could save 30% and still make 48% on GP. So why hunt down that digital transformation project that's going to take 12 months to implement
Or longer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoken like a true sales guy.
Yeah. And then the sales guys are going, and I remember this, I might have told you this. Every SME I bring in adds 30 days to the selling cycle.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
Yeah, we can bring in our scanner expert. Do we really?
Yes.
There's not many of us that how can I say, let me change that to many of us appreciate the low-hanging fruit. But there are a few out there that can take the time and the determination to see some of these longer projects through, like Mr. DeCarlo.
Well, no, I agree. Yeah, there are plenty of people like that. They're not sales managers.
Correct.
No, but they are they're SMEs. They're people that really do, when we say we're going to provide a solution, we know the difference between a water solution or a liquid solution and a business solution. Sales managers really aren't that enlightened when it comes to stuff like that. They're thinking in 30-day quota cycles.
Yeah.
Can't blame them. That's the system.
Right.
So as a sales rep, you have to balance that, right? You've got your whale.
Do you think that system will ever change?
Wow.
Or are we always the future salespeople, the future sales managers? Everybody's just going to stay on that 30 and 90-day cycle.
I think it'll change. I would have answered this a while back, no. But but the 30-day, 90 those cycles came from manufacturing scheduling back in the olden days, right? You had
And-
to
And they're
forecast
still in
how many.
place.
Yeah, and they're still in place. So that's what's going to have to change. Manufacturing scheduling and our, resource planning and crap like that. With just in time and all that. And maybe because the economy is going to go more services, a lot more services than hardware, maybe that will change. But see, the 30, 60, 90-day quotas have now become standard, the way to measure revenue, way to measure everything.
So does that actually go back to the reason for that is, because the Japanese rely on that just-in-time delivery? They've done that for years now. They've actually mastered that just-in-time delivery.
Yeah, it goes before just in time. Just in time would have been even, that should have shut down that whole idea. But it was for master scheduling resources. When you're going to build 50,000 widgets, you want to make sure 50,000 widgets were sold. So you go out into the field, so you build 50,000 widgets. You've got 12 dealers. You divide 50,000 by 12, divide that by 12, and that's your 30-day quota. And that quota begins starts. You have to you divide that by the number of people on your sales team. Now each guy's got to sell 10 devices a month. The number just came out of the manufacturing schedule. Didn't come out of market
Correct.
penetration or anything cool like that.
Correct.
It's evolved, and I think the way it will devolve away would be if somehow, we didn't have to measure resources and attach an ROI to raw materials and things like that. Now, I don't know. It's a good question.
Or if they could just move to profit.
Yeah,
Each rep needs to generate X amount of profit. Don't care how many machines you sell. We just care about profit.
tried selling that to Ricoh or Canon or Xerox, right? There's your contention now is we're going to make 50,000 devices. We're either going to sell them through you or we're not going to sell them through you. Or, hey, maybe we should just sell them direct. Get into that again. It's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know. We still manufacture cars. We don't manufacture washing machines. Well, I don't know. I like to think that maybe. I think now, because I think we alluded to it earlier, that the whole system is going to be different. The business models, that's what we're really looking at, is the whole, we can get into the universal, the UBI, whatever that's called, where everyone gets paid something because nobody's doing anything anymore. That kind of thing.
Like the federal government.
Well,
Everybody
yes.
had to go back to work.
Yep.
You mean go sit in a cube?
Yep.
Don't get me going. I've been in debates all week on that subject. Especially because of the return to office thing. Because I'm a proponent for work from anywhere, except for if you're in the government.
Well, you've done it for so long, Greg. You're an expert at
Yeah.
working remote.
Yeah, it takes a special kind of person still, right? You gotta be self-motivated, be able to get your bourbon on the Friday afternoons and cigars on the Friday.
And not everybody has the self-motivation.
That's true. It's true.
We're all not made alike, and that's a good thing.
That's true. You're right. But I think that the office system, now we're going to get, is set up. It's not set up for the benefit of the person in the office. It never was. The 9 to 5, the education, everything, the structure was designed to produce more producers, more workers, more Ford factory workers, right? I mean, that was where it was from. Skyscrapers were designed so we could put more people in the same location, stacked on top of each other, so that they all can work together, not necessarily for the benefit of an employee, which is fine. That's the way it was, right? If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here. But I don't know if we need to keep using those models going forward. Certainly not in the B2B. And I'll tell you what, the investments, we might have talked about this before. The venture caps out in Silicon Valley, where they would use 50 to 100 people, they're using 10. So these guys are creating new companies where headcount was a component of company value. It's no longer a component. The more you can do with the fewer people, the more valuable your company is.
You see unicorn companies with 10 people. That's amazing.
they're not going to be unicorns anymore. They're going to be normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, that's what's happening right now. And so, look, and all that stuff that does happen when it's successful, it flows into the business world. So you talk about Microsoft and Oracle and these 30, 40, 50, 100,000 employee organizations. That's a major shift. Whether you like it or not, there's going to be a huge shift in the labor force. And the example I point out is Twitter, right? Musk, love him or hate him, got rid of 80% of the company. The company's still around, still doing exactly the same thing it did 8, 10 years ago. Can argue about users and stuff like that, but functionally, it is still a machine rolling with 80% fewer employees. Can you name anyone that can do that right now? Yeah, but that will do it right now? That's what we're looking at, and I don't know. So I don't know where the future is.
Interesting, right?
It's always interesting. Yeah, back to copiers. Well, no, office technology is still going to be viable. It's still going to be viable.
It's always going to be, yeah, it's always going to be viable. I mean, technology, right? We are as far as I'm concerned, the office
I agree.
dealers are the incubators of providing technology services.
The copier dealers are the most resilient ever. And I'll bring up our buddy Ray. He talked about IT services again and AI a couple of times. I was rolling my eyes a lot, but okay, he's talking about it. So we just bring it out there. That's what's cool about the industry is like we are, and always have been, cutting edge, bleeding edge in office technology, but we've really never recognized that in ourselves, right? We were still schlepping copiers in the back of a 76 Pinto. That's where we came from. That's who we are, right? Whether it's a switch or an AI or a scanner or a copier, that's our core. But that's successful, I think. And I think that's tactically where the agents of change really do make change. So I think there's a value there. I just don't know where we're going to go how long that's going to be a value. I don't know.
I deal with a lot of the scanner, not necessarily the MFP people, but I do deal with a lot of the scanner. And I'm seeing a renewed interest, and
Okay.
and the scanner people are starting to see this because the end users and the very savvy integrators are finding that there's data scientists that are sitting there $300,000 a year and they're dying for data. Give me the database and give me the social media feeds and give me all this, right? And they look at all this data stuck in file cabinets and file drawers, and the data guys are thinking, my God, please give me that, right? There's tons of stuff in there. So they're saying like, okay, I need to digitize everything, right? So how do I get that data? So some of them are getting these kind of inquiries. So I'm seeing the same old technology, but a renewed use case to just create a huge data set and then let the data science figure out what's good data, what's bad data, get rid of the useless data, but just give me everything, right? So there is this emerging market for machines, and if the copy dealers are out there, they're established, they're already got machines inside of these organizations. So it's taking the same thing that we've done for a long, long time, scanning and printing and whatever, but if they take a different mindset and just take the same technologies, the same approach, but the way that they're using the data in a different way or a more modern way, right? Then they can become valuable again. And I'll give you an example. I used to work at Abby, was my last career job, right? When we were we were the number one OCR company in the whole wide world. US and Nuance. It was basically them two. Nobody else was even considered. Then guess what? Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they all figured out that optical character recognition and document processing was very important. So guess what? They invented their own. So they created all this recognition technology. So our old-fashioned OCR industry, they just took it over completely. They just took it from us. So the same thing's going to happen with copy machines, is that sooner or later, the big cloud people, the AI people, the open AIs, they're going to say, give me data, right? Where can I get data the quickest way? These copy machines that can scan millions and billions of pages every day. The whole industry is scanning billions of images. So how do I get all that in? There's an established network reseller channel, and there's an MSP channel. If those people can say, we are relevant to your use case to create data, then that's all I have to say, right? And it's not a lie. It is the truth, right?
It's not a
So,
lot.
so just say, hey,
Interesting. That does play into AGI. AGI is artificial general intelligence. All it really is building heavy connections to the real world, right? It's sensors. It's gathering data from the real world in the real time, and then it becomes. I'm paraphrasing, but anyway, you get the point. So every type of channel to bring data from the real world into that world is viable.
that's right. This is just another sensor, right?
Yeah, it's just another sensor.
Yeah.
Did anyone catch the season 2 opening of Night Agent?
No, but my day it just started last night.
Yep, just started last night. Tune into the number 1 of season 2,
Yeah,
and it goes directly to what Kevin was speaking about.
no kidding.
Mm-hmm. A company
What
collecting data and then using that data, whether it's their social media, whether it's I didn't catch it all.
Or Amazon
Or anything, right?
wish
Anything.
list.
Correct. Anything that they use, just capturing that data, making the algorithms, and then putting it into a format that they would pitch larger companies on what they could do with all that data.
Right.
And they're using our data. Listen, Siri they just paid a $95 million fine for listening when they shouldn't have been listening.
Oh,
And
LinkedIn has got a lawsuit going against it now
Really?
because they used IMs and DMs to train AI.
they don't
Wait,
care.
I know.
And at Christmas time, I bought my wife an Alexa show to put in the kitchen, and we turned off the camera, we turned off the sound. But guess what? Something we say in the kitchen, all of a sudden on our phones, we're getting ads for it, right? There's no
Yep.
way it knew about this obscure thing we were talking about. So they are listening and they don't care. It's so blatant, right?
I've had it happen also. We have
time.
Alexa Amazon at home, and sometimes we
It's
don't
Alexa,
realize
and
it's listening.
who was really good at it, believe it or not, was TikTok. I don't know how the hell they did it, and I don't want to even know. But it's like, wait a minute, what? And it picked up. I forget what it was, but it was really obscure stuff. Like you said, it might have been an email, or it might have been even it was something that after I thought about it, go, yeah, shit, they can probably read that.
But I think this is the point, is that as long as they have the data, they do create, and actually the ads I'm getting served are actually interesting to me.
I was going to
finally.
say, there's the other side of it. It's like, well, I did. Oh, cracks me up with the senator who said, every time I get on TikTok, all I see are young girls dancing around with no shirts on.
Yeah, that's your algorithm.
Okay.
Oh, bad.
Talk about not understanding the way it works.
Yeah. Then you're like, oh boy, you've exposed yourself. Literally,
Jeez.
bada bing, right?
Hey,
No,
but I
it's-
like that idea I like what you're saying. There's trillions of print, right? There's still that volume is globally. So there's got to be a shitload of data in that. And you're right. The AI company, I think it was one of the guys last week says, that's it. We ate the internet. It's all done. The AI has now consumed all the data on the internet. It's like, wait a minute. And this isn't that long, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm thinking, okay, what do you mean? So now they're talking about, that's why they use synthetic data. That's why they're, there's all a bunch of shit going on. But
even at that point, Greg, is like, Google indexed the whole world, right? But that's global knowledge, right? It's the intimate knowledge of your business and you personally that they can't really know, right? So that's the hard thing, is getting your own business data indexed properly, and that's not easy to do. So Google could do it because they crawl the whole internet and find everything. That's cool, great, fantastic. But to gather your stuff and understand your people and your process and what you do and your vocabulary, your ontology, and get dictionaries and terms and semantic relationships and all that kind of stuff. Build that up. You got to collect it and organize it and analyze it and create basically your small language model of you and your business and all of your agents, right? Everybody in your agent should have a profile and its building and how it's related. So it takes somebody very much smarter than I to connect all these dots, but with the data, these people can do amazing things, right? So these, listening and getting the data and feeding ads to you that you care about, that's just progressed a long way, very, like you said, very quickly, right?
Very quickly. Wow.
Hey, John, you've been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been,
Just being a good listener, right?
pretty much. Yeah, not a lot's going on this week. It's been, we're, ramping up with customer meetings, the extended holiday season as finally, passed, and we're talking, we're just trying to sell stuff, and, just moving back to normal. So,
Yeah. I think that the next holiday is Valentine's Day, right?
yes, not nearly as disruptive.
Holiday anyway, which no one should celebrate.
President's Day. No, that's after Valentine's Day.
There you go.
Also,
Perfect.
All right. Hey, anything else, Art? You want to? I look at the time. It's like, holy smokes.
Yeah, we started about 10 minutes late, so I thought I'd give
Okay,
it a
well-
little bit. I thought I'd give it a little bit more time. One thing I do want to put in that we didn't speak about in the beginning was some of the updates, and one of the updates, if people don't know about it, was the giant recall from Lexmark for 40,000 plus printers that could go on fire.
Oh,
First into flame.
Especially with the ongoing Xerox pursuit of Lexmark to happen maybe sometime in June of this year.
How many Lexmarks were sold in Southern California?
Oh,
Well,
never know.
wouldn't that be interesting if
No, I hope not. I hope not. No. Lexmark's got enough problems. They don't need that.
my goodness. Yeah,
Wow.
that would be
Yeah, I
crazy.
saw that. What's the details on that, Art? Do you know anything more than that?
As far as I know, dealers are supposed to go out and make fixes on all of these machines.
Oh, it's fixable? Okay.
As far as I understand, yes, it is fixable.
Is it a small fire extinguisher?
No. or a fire blanket? No.
An extinguisher. Here's your upgrade. Well, that's
No.
funny because the first Xerox came with a fire extinguisher.
did it? Oh my God.
Yep. And some of the Sharp machines actually were like toasters. They would actually have toaster elements to heat the toner into the paper. And
Oh,
if you had a
okay.
misfeed, you had to use
Oh yeah.
not wire tongs, wood tongs to get the paper out.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because those are conductive in there. Oh my gosh.
Correct. Can you imagine if somebody said, okay, yeah, just use a wire tong and pop it in there.
No. Mildred, the receptionist, is going to reach in there with all her rings.
I'm just looking at any other news updates that I might think are worthy of speaking about.
That's a good one. The 5 burst into flames one. That's a good one.
Well, I think it's even better if the how many of those are out in California.
I was just kidding.
I know. Sometimes you never know.
I know. God, I'd hate to.
I guess the only other one might be, I don't know, not a lot. There wasn't a lot from last week. The only other one that Konica Minolta is going to have a big show in Italy for textile printing. So the migration,
How about
it's the migration of print and ink.
I agree. And it's interesting. And I'm sure there's going to be tens of thousands of housewives, nothing derogatory about that are going to sell their T-shirts one-offs on TikTok. Because now there's a printer that can print on textile.
Yeah. Well, these are more for the,
I know.
yeah. But a lot of people do that. They use those
Oh, you know what? I
laser
should.
printers.
So my sister is in the paper industry. She works with it's called SAPPY, SAPP, South American Paper Pump, but higher end stuff, right? The really, if you go to any of the car dealerships, those nice portfolios you get about a car, how it's on that really nice paper. If anyone does that, that's her paper, right? But they've moved. Boy, we should have talked about this earlier. great model. They moved from that type of paper. They had, I think, 12 plants in the U.S., shut them all down to maybe 2, and they were cut sheet. This is back in the day, back when, you know, all those paper companies were going out of business. But now, not textile, but packaging. And I know you probably know all this, but not just regular packaging, high-end paper packages like Apple stuff. That not apparently, it took off during COVID and it hasn't slowed down.
That's correct. Yep. And it's not going to slow down.
And it isn't going to slow down. It's probably, I mean, this company was ahead of the curve when it came to this kind of stuff, because a lot of the companies went into corrugated.
Yes.
This one into custom high-end stuff. And there weren't that many people doing it, but there weren't that many people who wanted to do it, like Apple. Apple always wanted to have the best packaging ever.
That's correct.
But then COVID hit, and that whole market shifted from corrugated over to custom, and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now that's, you know, high end. Those are paper mills. That's nothing our channel can really take advantage
Right.
of. I don't think yet.
Well, you know, that whole wide format technology and the ink technology and the ability to print on different substrates.
Right. I mean, it does come down to a certain extent. I mean, for us, it stops at Indigo. You guys remember Indigo, right? The HP.
Yeah, they're still out there.
Yeah, they are. But we don't sell Indigo. We'll sell all the way up to, well, close to Indigo.
Well,
But-
we're getting close. The industry's getting close to it.
I know.
So
Yeah.
one other note I want to end on was the numbers came out for the Fujifilm Business Innovation, which I call them FBI, and Konica Minolta. They finally established their joint company.
Okay.
Right? They funded 50 million yen for 200 employees. That only equates to $320,000. Doesn't seem like a lot for 200 employees. I'm
Well-
sure that just may be an initial round, but $320,000 for 200 employees isn't going to last that long.
Well, maybe they have other funding.
Press release didn't say anything about any other funding. Our buddy from Australia did make a comment that there's, you know, could be additional funding in the works. But this is an opening round of $320,000, which I still find extremely small for 200 employees. Because if you do some research, you'll see that that's nowhere near funding that should be required for 200 employees.
There's something missing or something. Interesting.
So that's what I wanted to close on, just those two last pieces of news. What do you think, John?
I
Too
have
little?
no idea what's going on. I don't know. I just keep my head down and keep plugging away.
Oh my God.
That's good.
When reps call me, I talk to their customers and try to sell something. That's all. That's
All right,
all.
well, here's a question. Which one of you guys is starting to use the Chat GPT?
I use it all the time.
All right, I use it every
All
day.
right. I know. And then John,
Nah,
I'm
so
looking
not
at
so
you,
much.
John.
Not so much. Nope, not so much. I put a little large language model on my Raspberry Pi. And that
Wow.
worked.
You told us that. Yeah.
I was amazed with that. That was fun. It was a little project. So the ability to put AI anywhere. I mean, a Raspberry Pi is $80. Works, and it worked. It really did work. Everything I asked it, it had an answer to. It took a little bit to start, but then it produced text
Does warm up.
coherently at about a slow reading speed, and I was amazed. I was amazed.
So when I was out at Scottsdale, I met somebody from ACDI, John, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And one of the bigger wigs there, and he had a pair of Ray-Bans on, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm going, man, those are pretty thick Ray-Bans, right? I'm looking at it. I go, are those Google glass, you know, like cameras
think-
in your glasses? And he actually said, yeah, they were glasses. He can take pictures, he can take videos, he can
Meta.
save video, and all that, all those other items. Then I thought to me, I go, wow, wouldn't that be cool if I'm doing a sales call and I could knock on the door and I could record the sales call?
Mhm.
But then he told me that no, there actually a light will go off on the glasses that he's recording.
Sure.
Privacy thing, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure they had to do that, I'm sure.
Of course, but I thought that was interesting and the first person I've ever seen having those glasses
I
on.
think what they'll do is that I've seen it where they have the glasses, but it'll recognize, do a facial on who you're looking at,
Tell you
then
who it
pull-
is.
and then pull up the profile.
Well, how about for us older guys who have a tendency to forget names every now and then?
Oh, I know.
Oh, what's his name?
That would be
I know I've
awesome.
seen him before.
Oh,
3
my
times
goodness.
already in the last hour.
A little virtual assistant tell me who I'm walking up to or who's walking up to me. That would be worth the cost right there. If that's all it did,
They do it.
lining up to buy it.
You can be walking down the street in New York. People you don't know.
Yeah,
You might not want something like that then, right? You might
Maybe not.
have to move left or move right or maybe turn around.
Yeah.
So everyone, it's been a great conversation today.
Good
I want
one.
to thank John DiCarlo as always, as our resident guru. Kevin, we always love having you on because your talk tracks are pretty deep and pretty amazing. And of course, Greg, our main host, who drives the conversation all different ways.
Crazy. I drive it crazy.
So everyone, please like, follow, share. Catch us next week. We'll be back.
All right.
Take care, guys.